In this last example for section 8.8, we are going to go through and we are going to multiply more expressions. The difference is in the last problem, our second expression only had one term. In these problems, our second expression is going to have two terms. Our second expression having two terms means we're going to need to use our distributive property. Right? So for example A, right, I'm going to distribute this 3 to both pieces inside that sum. So I'm going to have 3 times 8x plus 3 times 2. 3 times 8x gives us 24x, and positive 3 times 2 is going to give us a positive 6. Now, as I mentioned in the last example as well, if you don't want to write this middle step, that's fine. If you want to start right from the original problem, right, and jump right to the answer over here without showing a lot of work in between for some of these, that's definitely going to be okay. As we're doing these, we want to make sure we're paying attention to signs. If it's helpful to draw the little arrows in for the distribution, feel free to do that. Kind of as you're going through these, show however much or little work as you feel that is necessary in order for you to go through and multiply these and get the correct signs. All right, so for B, I'm going to multiply this 5 by everything inside. So I'm going to have 5 times 7y plus 5, because my 5 out front is positive, times negative 3. All right. Then multiplying, 5 times 7y is 35y. Right? 5 times negative 3 is going to give us a negative 15, because we have exactly one negative sign there. All right, now let's multiply this 2 by the two terms in our next expression using our distributive property. So we're going to have 2 times negative 4w plus 2, again because that 2 out front is positive, times negative 6. All right. And then we're going to multiply. 2 times negative 4 is negative 8. 2 times negative 6 is negative 12. So we have negative 8w minus 12. All right, for D, notice that our number out front is negative. Right, so that's fine. It's not going to change anything we're doing. We just need to pay careful attention to our signs, but we're still going to use our distributive property. Negative 5 times 7k. Right, then we have a negative 5 times 3. Negative 5 times 7k gives us negative 35k. Negative 5 times positive 3 gives us negative 15. Again, as we're going through, I'm showing the middle step. If you feel comfortable jumping from the first step to the last step, you don't need to show a lot of work with these. Right, just pay careful attention to your signs as you're multiplying. Alright, let's distribute this negative 2. Negative 2 times 4m minus 2 times negative 6. Negative 2 times positive 4m, one negative sign, so it stays negative. We have negative 8m. Negative 8m. Negative 2 times negative 6. Two negatives turn positive because it's an even number of negative signs, so we have a plus 12. All right. For F, we're going to distribute this negative 3. Negative 3 times negative 6w minus 3 times negative 1. Negative times negative turns positive, so we have a positive 18w. Negative times negative turns positive, so we have a plus 3. All right, and then for this last one, right, negative 1 times 6x squared minus 1 times negative 7 is going to give us negative 1 times positive 6 is going to give us negative 6x squared. Negative 1 times negative 7 is going to give us positive 7. Right, one other way we can think about this, and one other thing that we are going to do when we get into sections down the road, is we might look at this, or we might see a negative sign out front, and we could think about this being phrased or kind of working through this in a couple of different ways. So one way we could do this, we could think about that -1 being out front is meaning, or what is the opposite of, right, our 6x squared minus 7. Right, so that's one way we could think about it. Another way we could think about it, if we compare our original expression to our answer, we've simply flipped our signs. Everything that was positive turned negative, everything that was negative turned positive. Right, so we could also think about this as changing the sign of both terms. And the reason I bring this up is as we progress into the next chapters, if we're solving equations or if we're working with polynomials, we might see a negative sign out front, we might see a -1 out front, and how you kind of think about these and work through these, right? You have kind of some different options as far as your train of thought as we go. Right? But either way we look at these, if we have a -1 out front, it's the same as changing the sign of both terms or finding the opposite of what we have inside. Right? In either case, in that last one and all of the additional problems that were above it, right, we used our distributive property. Right? So the numerical factor that was out front got distributed or multiplied by both of the numbers that were inside. Again, as we're going through this, as we're going through everything else for the rest of the semester, all of the problems for the rest of the semester, we definitely want to make sure we are paying very careful attention to our signs.